Every morning before sunrise, when the city was still asleep under a blanket of cold fog, I rode my old bicycle through the quiet streets, delivering newspapers door to door. It wasn't just a job, it was a lifeline. The meager money I earned was the only way I could support my family and fund my university education. My routine was strict. I had to deliver nearly 200 newspapers before 9 a.m. every single day. Because I was always racing against the clock, I usually didn't even stop my bicycle. I would expertly flick the folded papers straight onto people's front porches and speed away. But everything changed the day I reached the grand iron gates of the Sterling Manor. That morning, I pulled a newspaper from my handlebar basket and tossed it toward the massive entrance. Just as the paper was airborne, the heavy gates swung open. Standing there was a young woman around 25 years old. She was breathtakingly beautiful, but her eyes held a sharp annoyance. "Hey," she called out, her voice melodious yet firm, like the chime of a crystal bell. "Why do you just throw the paper like that? What if it lands in a puddle and gets ruined?" I froze, completely mesmerized by her striking face and the elegance of her presence. I swallowed hard, trying to find my voice. I am so sorry, ma'am. I will be careful from tomorrow. I promise." She gave a brief, quiet nod and walked back inside, the heavy gates closing behind her. As I pedaled away to finish my route, my heart was racing. That encounter changed something inside me. From that day on, I never threw the newspaper at her gate again. Instead, I would park my bicycle, walk up to the entrance, and carefully place the morning paper inside a canvas pouch she had hung on the gate. Occasionally, we would cross paths in the morning. She would look at me with a soft smile and say, "Good morning, Julian," and instantly a nervous "Good morning, ma'am" would escape my lips. Those 2 words from her were enough to brighten my entire day. One afternoon, I missed my morning lectures because I had overslept. Since I had nothing to do at home, I decided to take my father's old cab out into the city. My father hadn't been feeling well lately, and our household expenses heavily relied on that cab. I figured driving it for a few hours would bring in some extra cash to help out. After dropping off a passenger near the industrial district, I was heading back when I noticed a familiar car parked near a roadside garage. And there she was, the beautiful woman from the manor. She looked worried, checking her watch repeatedly. I pulled my taxi over immediately. Her eyes met mine, widening in surprise. "Oh, Julian, what are you doing here?" "My university classes were canceled today, ma'am," I lied slightly, rubbing the back of my neck. "So I thought I'd help my dad and earn a little extra money. Is everything all right?" A relieved smile broke across her face. "Not really. I have an urgent board meeting at my office, and my car suddenly broke down. It needs to go into the garage. My backup car is at home, but my chauffeur hasn't shown up today. I was just standing here trying to hail a cab." "Please, get in," I said, without hesitation. "I'll drop you wherever you need to go." She stepped into the back seat of my taxi. As we joined the traffic, she looked at me through the rearview mirror. "So, Julian, did you quit delivering papers?" "No, ma'am," I replied softly. "My father's health is failing, so the taxi helps run the house. Delivering papers in the early hours pays for my college tuition." She looked at me with genuine respect in her eyes. "You work incredibly hard, Julian." But my luck didn't last long. About a mile down the road, the taxi's engine suddenly sputtered and died. I tried turning the key over and over, but the engine just groaned. It didn't take me long to realize the painful truth. The fuel tank was bone dry. Seeing my crushed expression, she sighed gently. Out of fuel? I guess that's my cue. She stepped out of the cab, looking around the busy street. Don't worry about it, Julian. I'll catch another cab. I felt completely humiliated. Was this my terrible luck, or just a cruel twist of fate? But just then, I spotted my best friend Marcus parked a short distance away on his motorcycle, deeply engrossed in a phone call. I rushed over to him, frantically explaining my situation. Without a second thought, Marcus pressed the keys into my hand and whispered, "Go, man, take it. Don't worry about it." He went right back to his phone, likely talking to his girlfriend. I dashed back to her with the motorcycle. "Ma'am, please, hop on. I can still get you to your office on time." She looked at the bike, then at me, and smiled. "All right, let's go." Gathering the fabric of her elegant dress, she swung her legs over the seat like a pro and sat right behind me. As she pointed out the directions, I navigated through the city traffic. Suddenly, I felt her place her hands gently on my shoulders for balance. Her touch was incredibly soft, sending a rush of warmth straight to my heart. It felt intensely romantic, like a scene out of a movie. I found myself drifting into a beautiful daydream, wishing this ride would never end. A quiet, dangerous hope began to root in my mind. Could a girl like her ever look at someone like me? My heart felt like it was soaring into the clouds. "Julian, stop! My office is back there." Her voice abruptly snapped me back to reality. I pulled myself together and slammed on the brakes, realizing I had driven right past her building. She gently pulled her hands back from my shoulders, grabbed her briefcase, and stepped off the bike. "Thank you so much, Julian. You saved my life today. This is my office." The moment her touch left my shoulders, it felt as though the very warmth had been drained from my body. My beautiful dream shattered instantly as I looked up at the massive glass building in front of me. The brass letters on the facade read Nicole Steels Private Limited. It was the largest, most prestigious steel manufacturing plant in the entire region. I had heard of the company, and I knew it was run by a young, brilliant woman. I swallowed hard and asked carefully, Do you work here, ma'am?" She chuckled softly. "No, Julian. My name is Nicole. I own this company." The words hit me like a physical blow. I couldn't believe my ears. I had been daydreaming about a girl who owned a multi-million-dollar empire, while I was just a poor cab driver's son. It was like reaching for the stars while standing in the mud. She was entirely out of my league. Nicole opened her small leather handbag, pulled out €200 notes, and tried to hand them to me. I stepped back, shaking my head and folding my hands. "No, ma'am, please, I can't take this." Without listening, she stepped closer and gently tucked the money into my shirt pocket. "Your taxi is out of fuel, Julian. Go fill it up." Just then, the security guards rushed out, opening the grand glass doors. One of them took her briefcase, and with a final nod to me, Nicole walked into the building. The heavy glass doors shut behind her, separating her world from mine. That night, I lay awake on my small cot, staring at the ceiling. Sleep was miles away, By 2 a.m., my mind was still racing. Loving Nicole was a distant, impossible dream, and I knew I would never have the courage to tell her. How could a poor boy like me fit into the world of a woman who ran a corporate empire? If you fly too close to the sun, you get burned, I told myself. It's better to forget her. My logic tried desperately to reason with my heart, but my heart refused to listen. Trying to reach her felt like chasing a mirage. Unable to rest, I got up at 4 a.m., grabbed my bicycle, and headed to the news agency. I picked up my stack of papers and started my route. When I finally reached the gates of the Sterling Manor, my heart skipped a beat. Nicole was standing at the gate, wrapped in a warm coat. I parked my bike and walked up to her, handing her the morning paper. As she took it, she looked at my tired face. "Julian, would you like to come inside for a cup of tea? You leave so early in the morning, I doubt you ever get a chance to have breakfast." My heart pounded, but I looked at my heavy bag. "Thank you, ma'am, but I can't. I'm already late, and I have to deliver the rest of these papers on time." Nicole blocked my path slightly, a gentle insistence in her eyes. "Then when will you have time? Name a day." "I'll finish my route early one day and come by, I promise," I said, trying to deflect. "Why not today? Just come by after you're done." "I really can't today, ma'am. I have university right after. Let's make it Sunday. I have no classes on Sunday." Nicole smiled, her eyes softening. "All right, I will hold you to that promise. I'll be waiting for you this Sunday." "Yes, ma'am. I'll try my best," I said, hopping back onto my bicycle. As I pedaled away, I risked a glance backward. She was still standing by the gate, watching me leave. Over the next few days, my mind was in a whirlwind. Why did she invite me? Did she feel something too? Or was it just pity for a poor boy working in the freezing cold? Whatever it was, the wait was agonizing. 4 days felt like 4 months. Every morning after that, I pedaled faster, hoping to catch another glimpse of her at the gate, but the manor remained quiet. When Sunday finally arrived, I rushed through my route, finishing earlier than I ever had before. By 8:30 a.m., I was standing at the gates of the Sterling Manor, but Nicole wasn't there. Only the elderly security guard, Thomas, was standing watch. I took a deep breath and approached him. "Excuse me, I'm here to see Miss Nicole. She asked me to come by today." The guard looked at me, confused and slightly annoyed. "Who are you? When did she tell you this?" "4 days ago," I replied, a sudden wave of anxiety washing over me. The guard's expression instantly changed from annoyance to deep sorrow. 4 days ago. Young man, Miss Nicole was in a catastrophic car accident later that afternoon. She was rushed to the hospital with severe internal injuries. She's been in the ICU ever since. Her kidneys... The guard's voice faded into a blur. My world spun. Without thinking, I dropped my bicycle and sprinted toward the city hospital. The hospital lobby was chaotic. Executives, managers, and staff from Nicole Steels were crowding the hallways, whispering frantically. "They can't find a matching kidney donor. The blood type is rare. We are willing to pay $500,000 right now to anyone who steps forward," another executive cried out over the phone. Hearing their desperate conversations, it didn't take me long to realize that Nicole was running out of time. She was dying. I didn't care about their money, and I didn't care about the risk to my own life. All I knew was that I couldn't let her light fade from this world. I walked straight up to the head manager. "Sir, I want to be tested. I want to donate my kidney to Miss Nicole." A gasp rippled through the crowd. The manager gripped my shoulders, his eyes wide with desperate hope. "Are you sure, young man? If the match is perfect and you do this voluntarily, our company will take care of your family forever. We will give you a massive financial reward." I looked him dead in the eye and pulled his hands off my shoulders. "I don't want your money, sir. I am doing this for Nicole. Just run the tests." The medical team rushed me into evaluation. By a miracle of fate, our tissues matched perfectly. Within hours, I was prepped and rolled into the operating theater. Through the sterile lights, I saw Nicole lying on the adjacent bed, pale, unconscious, and hooked up to a dozen machines. They placed an oxygen mask over my face, injected a sedative into my IV, and the world went black. The next day, I woke up in the intensive care unit. A sharp, searing pain shot through my left abdomen every time I breathed. A few beds away, Nicole was still unconscious, but the monitors showed a steady, stable rhythm. Because my young body recovered quickly, the doctors moved me to a general ward 2 days later, but Nicole remained in the ICU under strict observation. 10 days later, I was cleared for discharge. I begged the doctors to let me see her, but because of the strict infection protocols, they refused. I walked up to the heavy glass partition of the ICU. Looking at her peaceful, breathing form from behind the glass, I whispered a quiet goodbye and walked out of the hospital, heading back to my empty life. 2 months after the surgery, my final MBA examinations arrived. Following the doctor's strict orders to rest, I had given up my newspaper route entirely to focus on my studies. When the results came out, I graduated at the top of my class. During the university campus placements, I was offered the position of assistant production manager at Ames & Co. Steels with a massive corporate package. Ames & Co. was a much smaller company compared to Nicole Steels, but the salary was life-changing for my family. The company provided me with a luxury apartment and a corporate car. I immediately moved my parents out of our crumbling old house. I sold my father's old taxi, and for the first time in their lives, my parents could live in absolute comfort. My mother finally had domestic help, and my father could spend his days in peace. Driven by gratitude and determination, I threw myself into my work. I began implementing innovative manufacturing techniques and cost-cutting production models I had researched. By the end of the fiscal year, the results were staggering. Ames & Co. began producing higher-quality steel at a fraction of the market cost, completely disrupting the industry. Within 12 months, our sales skyrocketed, and in an unprecedented turn of events, Ames & Co. officially surpassed Nicole Steels in market share and annual revenue. Meanwhile, inside the boardroom of Nicole Steels, the atmosphere was tense. Nicole, now fully recovered but struggling to keep her empire afloat, called an emergency meeting with her executive staff. "How did this happen?"
Nicole demanded, slamming a financial report onto the table. Ames & Co. was a minor competitor a year ago. Now they are rapidly driving us out of the market. What is their secret? The general manager stepped forward, adjusting his glasses nervously. Ma'am, late last year, Ames & Co. hired a brilliant young chief engineer named Julian Dawson as their head of production. Since he took over, their efficiency has doubled and their market strategy has been flawless. He is the sole reason for their rise.
Nicole leaned back, her eyes narrowing. Julian Dawson? I've never heard of him. Have you met him? No, ma'am, the manager replied. Getting an appointment with him is nearly impossible these days. Nicole stood up, a fierce determination in her eyes. Attempt to schedule a meeting immediately. Better yet, invite him to my office tomorrow. If he is that good, I will double his salary and buy out his contract. Draft a formal personal invitation and have it delivered to his office directly. I was working late at my desk, analyzing production charts, when my secretary handed me the sleek, embossed letter. Opening it, my breath hitched. It was a personal invitation from Nicole. A rush of suppressed emotions flooded my chest. For an entire year, I had intentionally stayed away from her. I didn't want her to feel obliged to me out of pity or gratitude for the kidney. But reading her words, the love I had buried deep inside flared up again. The invitation was for the following morning. That night, the hours dragged on like an eternity. The next morning, dressed in a tailored corporate suit, I drove my car to the gates of Nicole Steels. When I stepped out, the security guard stopped me. "Can I help you, sir?" I showed him the letter. "I have a 10 a.m. meeting with Miss Nicole." "Miss Nicole hasn't arrived yet, sir. You may wait in the executive lounge," he said politely. Instead of sitting inside, I chose to wait near the grand entrance, looking at the familiar surroundings. At exactly 10:15 a.m., a sleek luxury sedan pulled up, and Nicole stepped out. She looked radiant, commanding, and utterly beautiful. As she walked toward the entrance, her eyes landed on me. She stopped in her tracks, a brilliant smile breaking across her face. "Julian, oh my goodness, what are you doing here?" I smiled back, my heart pounding against my ribs. "I came to see you, ma'am. I believe I owe you a cup of tea from a year ago. I thought it was finally time to clear my debt." She laughed, a sound that filled the entire courtyard. "A cup of tea? Come on, let's talk in my office." I followed her into her massive, elegant penthouse office. We sat down on the plush leather sofas. After ordering refreshments, she leaned forward, looking curiously at me. "So, tell me, how have you been? How is the newspaper business going? I noticed another boy took over your route a long time ago." "I quit delivering papers, Nicole," I said, dropping the formal ma'am for the first time. "Oh, are you still driving your dad's taxi then?" "No, I sold the taxi too." Just then, an assistant brought in a tray of tea, pastries, and dry fruits, leaving it on the table before exiting. As we took our first sips of tea, Nicole looked at me softly. "Julian, you still haven't told me what you do now. If you're struggling or need a job, please tell me. I want to help you, and honestly, you've never even told me your full name." Before I could answer, the heavy office doors swung open and the general manager rushed in, looking completely breathless. He looked at Nicole, then looked at me, his jaw dropping in absolute shock. Nicole frowned slightly. "Arthur, what is it? Did you get a response from Julian Dawson?" The general manager let out a trembling breath, a stunned smile breaking on his face. "Ma'am, I don't need to text him. The man you have been searching for all year, the anonymous donor who saved your life in that hospital, is sitting right in front of you. He registered under his first name and vanished before we could trace his address." The teacup nearly slipped from Nicole's hand. She turned to me, her eyes wide, trembling with a mix of shock, realization, and overwhelming emotion. Tears welled up in her eyes and slowly spilled down her cheeks. Seeing her tears, something shifted inside me. I couldn't bear to see her cry. Without thinking, I reached out, my fingers gently brushing against her skin, wiping the tears away. Nicole closed her eyes for a moment, absorbing my touch, before opening them, her voice cracking with emotion. "Why did you deceive me, Julian? Why did you hide from me?" "Deceive you?" I whispered, startled. "Did I do something wrong?" "Yes," she cried out, grabbing my hand tightly. "You gave me a second chance at life and never gave me the chance to say thank you. You stayed hidden like a silent guardian. If you hadn't given me your kidney, I wouldn't be standing here today. This beating heart, this life I live, it all belongs to you." With a sudden sob, she threw her arms around my neck, burying her face into my shoulder. I held her tight, a profound warmth spreading through my entire being. The dream that had felt light years away was finally real. She loved me. Standing near the door, the general manager cleared his throat gently, completely unaware of the corporate irony. "Ma'am, Mr. Julian Dawson from Ames & Co. was supposed to be here by now. I will try contacting his office again." He bowed politely and stepped out to leave us alone. Nicole pulled back slightly, looking up into my eyes, her arms still around me. "Tell me the truth, Julian. Where have you been this whole year? What do you actually do?" I smiled gently, brushing a stray lock of hair from her face. "I was busy with university and my new career, Nicole. I didn't donate my kidney to place an obligation on you. My heart chose to love you, and that love was the only reason I did it." "But what company do you work for now?" she pressed. "I can offer you the highest executive position right here." "I am currently the head of production at Ames & Co. Steels," I replied softly. Nicole's eyes widened in sheer disbelief. "Wait, you? You are Julian Dawson?" "Yes, my full name is Julian Dawson." Hearing this, Nicole's face lit up with an ecstatic, radiant joy. She practically shrieked with happiness, running to the door and calling out to her executives. Within seconds, the general manager and several department heads came running back into the room, terrified that something was wrong. Nicole turned to them, her face glowing, holding my hand in front of everyone. "Arthur, the brilliant engineer we needed to save our company. He's 1,000 times better than we ever imagined. Today, we didn't just find our biggest business rival. I found the man who holds my heart."
She turned back and embraced me tightly in front of her entire corporate staff, and right there, surrounded by the glass and steel of the empire she built, my true life story finally began. If you enjoyed this journey of love, sacrifice, and destiny, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories.